I cover topics in wrestling which I would do differently, or how I would do them, as in, for example, things I would be doing on Monday. I did Nikki Cross's, I did how Nikki Ash's title reign would occur. I haven't done many different topics. I want to do many different topics. Will I get to do them? Who knows? But we're going to begin tonight with SummerSlam 2021. I'm going to be booking the entire card, and I will do it the way that I think it should be done. If people are joining in the chat, make sure you put what you or how you think it should be done. I am interested to hear, and I'm just going to let some people join, and then we'll get right into it. So, hello KK, welcome. So we're going to kick things off. So I'm going to be talking about why I would do the match, who would win, and what the person after the match would do. So we're going to kick things off. We've got one match on the pre-show, and that is Drew McIntyre versus Jinder Mahal. I've put this on the pre-show because Jinder Mahal is not worth a main show match at SummerSlam. I feel bad for joining this rivalry because I feel like he deserves something better at what's going to be the biggest show of the year, but sadly he's not. KK, Jinder for the win. I'm going to take Jinder for the win here. I think they're going to continue this feud. I want to see this feud continue. Not because I like Jinder Mahal, but I do like the fact that they've slid McIntyre down to a mid-card feud. I'm taking Jinder for this one. I think then at the September pay-per-view, not sure what that's going to be, that they can have a no-holds-barred match or some kind of match. I expect Veer and Shanky to get involved, where I think Veer and Shanky will get involved to cost Drew the match. I think it will look like Drew's going to win. Then Veer and Shanky cost him. Drew is going to lose this one here, and then he gets his revenge at No Holds Barred. Push the King, since Drew's getting stale. Since when was bloody Jinder Mahal a king? Yeah, Jinder for the win. Then in September, Drew gets his win back. Then we're going to move on to the main show. So we have all the fireworks. We have whatever happens. Someone jumps off a bike or all that, wacky stuff that they do at the start of a big show. Maharaja means king. Okay. So we're going to kick things off. So obviously this might not be how they go, but this is how I would go. So the first match on the card, to kick everything off with just a great wrestling match, is going to be Finn Balor versus Sami Zayn. Obviously, this would make sense. Finn Balor returned to Friday Night SmackDown last week and immediately decked Zayn out. So I just really want to see this, I want to see them do the wrestles for quite a bit. Just give them 20 minutes, let them go out there, and just let them put on a brilliant match. Love Jinder, my brown brother, and he's Canadian. Bloody hell. Yeah, so I would love to see Balor and Zayn go at it. I think they should do this. Obviously, when I'm filming this, SmackDown is tonight. I'll have Sami since he's... Okay. Yeah, so I would give this to Balor. I think Balor's going to need this more. He has lost quite a few of his last matches on NXT. And I think Zayn can afford to lose because people like this character of him doing conspiracy theories and stuff. I really don't. It's like, I would give Balor the win and then, build him up. Maybe he can get into a feud with the Intercontinental Champion. Then maybe, he can build into a feud with Roman. But I'm going to take Finn Balor for the win here. And I would have them go at it for about 25 minutes. Open up the show. Have them just... maybe even do a Sami face turn. Maybe even do that. But Balor for the win. I would have Balor, as we get to this match, act a bit more like the Prince. And... just have him be that great character who was in NXT that just has these brilliant matches and that the fans love. So I would have Balor for the win. The next one, for the Raw Tag Team Championships, AJ Styles and Omos defend their championships against RK Bro. So when I'm recording this, Randy Orton has been on TV, hasn't been on TV for the last 4 weeks, I think. I don't really watch Raw. But AJ and Omos are in a feud with the Viking Raiders. The Viking Raiders are going to get a tag team title rematch Monday on Raw. So in this universe, how I would do it is during the match, the fans repeatedly chant RK Bro, RK Bro. And it gets to the point where AJ really gets annoyed at this. So AJ and Omos win. Then Styles gets a microphone after and says, "I'm sick of this RK Bro stuff. I want RK Bro right now. Riddle, Orton, get out here." Riddle comes out, does his weird "hey bro," "hey skipper," does all that stuff. Gets to the point where AJ and Omos kick the living piss out of him. Then who comes for the save? Randall Keith, Randy Orton. And yeah, the match is set then. We get to SummerSlam and RK Bro they're nearly there. Orton's starting to respect Riddle. And, RK Bro just working as a team. AJ and Orton going at it. AJ and Riddle, not Omos, because Omos doesn't know how to wrestle very well. Watching him wrestle is like the second version of the Great Khali. But I would have this go about 10 to 15 minutes. Then have the ending being, instead of an RKO out of nowhere, I would have AJ go for a phenomenal forearm. He jumps up, Riddle, knee to the face. Then Riddle gets the RKO. 1, 2, 3. RK Bro are the new Raw Tag Team Champions. The height and weight of these big guys slow them down. I know, but Omos is just... I just don't like him. And I wouldn't split AJ and Omos off just yet. That would be the WrestleMania 38 match I would do to get Omos properly over, and I'd have AJ be the one as the face going into that. And RK Bro are the new Raw Tag Team Champions. Orton finally celebrates with him, and Orton finally fully turns face. Then AJ and Omos get their rematch at the September pay-per-view. Orton and Riddle win that, and then they go into a feud with... There's just not enough tag teams on Raw. The draft is going to have to maybe bring over the Alpha Academy, bring over someone like that, feud with them, have them lose them at WrestleMania, WrestleMania 38, and then they start to sow the seeds of friction, and then someone's just put it there, Riddle turned on Orton before WrestleMania 39, which means the WrestleMania 39 match is heel Riddle versus face Orton. So Orton because everyone's just waiting for the point where after they've won the tag titles, Orton just RKO, heel turn, team ends, they face each other, have a feud, Riddle wins, Randy moves on to something else. But I think they should beat everyone to the punch and have Riddle be the one that actually turns, because it creates a shocking moment, creates a moment fans aren't going to want to see, and it's going to create a heel people actually hate. So you start to see Riddle and Orton actually work as friends and work as a well-oiled machine. And during this time, you can have Orton backstage and just in general life, help Riddle with certain things like in the ring. Obviously, Riddle's a great in-ring wrestler. Just have, Orton mentor him and make him properly become better, so that by the time that Riddle would turn heel, he's a brilliant heel off the bat. So I would have RK Bro win these, AJ and Omos lose their rematch. They start to sow the seeds of their friction. Then they go on to face each other at WrestleMania. The next match for the SmackDown Women's, RK Bro reminds me of Rated RKO. Yeah, you could say that. Moving into the next match, though, for the SmackDown Women's Championship, Bianca Belair defends her title against a newly returned Sasha Banks. Of course, we have not seen Sasha Banks since WrestleMania 37 Night 1, where she lost the title to Belair. She's been off filming The Mandalorian. I think she should come back as a cocky Hollywood heel that is still calling Belair a rookie, believes that she got lucky on one night, and she wants her rematch, so the match gets set. Belair, Banks, SummerSlam 2. And during this match, Banks and Belair are really going at it. Banks is being a bit more cocky, is bending the rules when the ref isn't looking, but Belair overcomes the odds, beats Banks, then Banks shakes Belair's hand in the middle of the ring, because we didn't get that at WrestleMania. We just got the tears from Banks and the sort of smirk on Banks' face. This time you do get Banks shaking Belair's hand, cements the face turn. Banks endorses Belair as the next star. Then Belair moves into a feud with someone who's going to be on the show later on. Up next then, this is where it's going to get mixed opinions. Karrion Kross versus Jeff Hardy. Now, if you did not watch Monday on Raw, how to think of this? To be honest, I think most people look at this Karrion Kross versus Jeff Hardy match Monday on Raw and they'd rather shove a boiling teapot up their cock than have to re-watch it. Now, if you did not see, the NXT champion Karrion Kross, who has not been beaten in 16 months on NXT, was beaten in 3 minutes by a pissing roll-up by Jeff Hardy. Now, Jeff Hardy obviously got his number one team back. I'm a huge fan of Jeff Hardy, but he really should not have beat Karrion Kross in any scenario. Karrion Kross is the NXT champion. He should not be losing like that. They should have saved his first loss for a big pay-per-view. They should have saved his first loss for a big pay-per-view. And they've just done it on a random Raw, and it's really annoying. I'm not betting against my lady Bianca. Screw the boss. I think we should get Becky versus Sasha versus Bianca. Yeah? You are going to see Becky later on this card. By the way, I kind of want to see Finn versus Apollo. Yeah, that could be good. But in this match, some people normally aren't against squash matches at shows, but I would do it. This is just a painful night to be Jeff Hardy. Kross absolutely wrecks him during the match. So much so that instead of, Kross pinning him or, Hardy passing out or Kross getting himself disqualified, the referee waves it off. So Kross just batters him for about 15 minutes, so much to the point where Hardy is just laying in a crumpled mess on the floor. Kross is just standing tall, and he's about to attack him even further. The ref gets in the way, just waves it off. Kross wins by default, and Hardy is not seen for a few weeks, where he comes back as Willow. So I would have him come back as Willow and be this demonic sort of character. Still a babyface. Still comes out to no more words, but he's a bit more on edge. And it's not him, teasing a heel turn, but it's just the loss kind of changed him, and he comes immediately back after Kross and gets wrecked again. And he just cannot beat Kross. I think they gave Jeff the win so he doesn't go to AEW. No, I think he'll stay. Plus, it seems like Jeff been staying out of trouble. It has. Yeah, I would just have Kross absolutely demolish him here. I think Hardy would be more than happy to do that. Just build Kross up for that NXT title match with Samoa Joe, where Kross loses the title to Joe. And then you could even have Hardy maybe interfere in that match and cost Kross. Maybe not. Maybe I just have Joe and Kross, just go out by themselves. And actually, that could be a good thing to do as well. During this Kross Hardy match, you actually get Joe come and make sure the referee waves it off. Because, I can't establish this point. Just have Kross murder him. Royally murder him. Have him bloody, bruised, beaten. To the point where Kross is looking like an absolute killer. Pun intended. Jeff versus Karen versus The Fiend in a Dream. Oh yeah, I'd say that. But we move on to the next match, the Usos versus the Mysterios. Speaking of staying out of trouble, the Usos versus the Mysterios for the SmackDown Tag Team Championships in a 2 out of 3 Falls Tornado tag match. Now, Money in the Bank, the Usos defeated the Mysterios with a dodgy roll-up, it's fair to say. So in this, you have the Mysterios come out tonight on SmackDown and say, we were cheating out of our titles. We want our rematch at SummerSlam. And they get it. But instead of... Because the Usos have won once. And the Mysterios have won once. But they've had that dodgy pinfall. Have it be a 2 out of 3 Falls match. So the right person actually wins. And have the Mysterios win the first one. Have the Usos win the second. Then just let them go at it for... about 10 minutes before the first pinfall. Then the 2 pinfalls come in quick succession, about 5 minutes between each other. And then you just let them go for another 15. So the match is probably about 30 minutes long. I don't think they'll give that long to a tag match. And then you have the Usos again cheat to win. I want to see Dom turn on his dad. I don't want to see that. Kind of want to see Usos retain. Yeah, I'd have the Usos retain. And have them move into a feud with the Street Profits or something like that. It's the issue, because I try and think of what they can do after, but when you have this little barely any tag teams, and barely any that are faces anyway, you can't, like, what do? You can't. He needs to be a singles character, don't depend on your dad. Well, I do think Ray's last match will be against Dominic, but I think it'll be a face versus face, like WrestleMania 39 match, because it's in California, and obviously Ray's from California, so I think they'll end that there. And Ray loses, then takes off the mask, gives it to Dominic, and becomes Dominic's manager. Be your own person and not known as Ray's son walking in your dad's footsteps. Yeah, that's a fair point. Up next then, for the United States Championship, Sheamus versus Damian Priest. Now, it looks like this is going to be the direction they go with. So Sheamus battered Humberto Carrillo on Raw a couple of weeks ago. Damian Priest then came out and stared down Sheamus, said, "You're going to pay for that." So I think they will set up this match at SummerSlam. It's a match I'm interested to see, just to see them beat the hell out of each other. Priest wins this after about 15 minutes of going back and forth. Sheamus goes for a bro kick. Priest catches the boot, flicks him round, and then hits his hit the lights thing. Damian Priest and Bad Bunny comes out to celebrate with Damian Priest. I would actually do that, because I did like Bad Bunny in the WWE. I want to see Bad Bunny return and cost Sheamus the match. Yeah, I could see that happening. And then Priest, gives his rematch with Carrillo, gives his rematch with Sheamus. Then he gives a match to Carrillo and just has these really good 15-minute matches. A bit like what Cena did. And he loses it down the line, and hopefully that elevates him to the point where he can be considered as a challenger for the WWE title, because I think Damian Priest is absolutely brilliant, and I think he's brilliant. Gimmick equals corny, but he's actually dope in the ring when he tags with Priest. Yeah, I thought Bad Bunny was brilliant. Yeah, Damian did barely any work. It was actually Priest leading to the hot tag to Bunny, and I thought it was amazing. So yeah, I'd have Damian Priest go over here, make Sheamus look strong though, because he's been brilliant. Up next though, this is just a match that I would love to see happen. I don't think it will, but this is what I would do, not what I think is going to happen. And that is Toni Storm versus Liv Morgan in a number one contenders match for the SmackDown Women's Championship. So, let me explain my reasoning here. Obviously, I'm a big fan of Liv Morgan. I'm a big fan of Toni Storm. From what I'm hearing, the plan is for Toni Storm that she will debut tonight on SmackDown as a face. It's confirmed that she's coming tonight, but I've heard that she's going to be a face. She would love to be right. But I would have Morgan come out and say that she doesn't think Storm is a genuine threat to the SmackDown Women's division. Or I wouldn't say that, but I'd have Morgan and Storm, face off. Maybe Morgan wins a match, Storm comes out, and they face off. Storm would be a face, and her and Morgan set up a match for SummerSlam, and then, Morgan has been constantly underutilized for so long now, and now in storyline they're actually making it so she's being treated unfairly, and it really feels like they're trying to get to the Daniel Bryan kind of stage where she will get her moment. And if anybody hasn't seen this, once you finish watching this, go to WWE's YouTube channel and look at the video of, it was like an interview with Liv Morgan during a commercial break that wasn't aired on SmackDown. I think it was like, it's not about luck for an emotional Liv Morgan. Listen to the crowd reaction. They should know they have a star on their hands, and she should have won that Money in the Bank contract. I will always say that. She should have been the one to win that match. And obviously they've gone with a bloody superhero to win, and she's ended up as champion somehow. Ridiculous. But I think they could have a brilliant match here. Can you make Storm lose her first match on, her first big match on the main roster? But like KK said, she's taking too many losses at the moment. So I would give the win to Liv Morgan, but have it so Storm puts up a hell of a fight. I don't mind Nikki winning Money in the Bank and the title, but why is the superior? Exactly, but here's the thing. I have to be honest, I don't get what people see in Nikki Cross. Like, I don't actually think she's that good. Like, she's a good wrestler, but I don't really see what people say when people say she's misused. I don't really see what they mean by that. I'm not sure. But I would give Morgan the win, but have it be just barely. They shake hands after the match. And maybe they form a tag team. Wouldn't mind seeing Morgan and Storm as a team. Obviously, it would be another thrown together team. But Liv's old team got ripped apart. So it'd be a good thing to do with both, you know. I'm trying to think of one thing they could call it. Storm Forever? Lightning Storm Forever? No, Lightning Thunder Forever. Oh, for God's sake. She's good from her NXT days, but she once came to main roster. Her gimmick was cringeworthy. I liked the team with Alexa Bliss. I thought Bliss and Cross were quite good, but I just don't really get what people see by herself. But anyway, give the win to Morgan. She then gets a SmackDown Women's Championship match at Clash of the Champions against Belair. And I would have actually Banks come and interfere in the match at Clash of Champions and cost Morgan, setting up a feud of Morgan and Banks that runs till the Rumble, and you get the payoff to that feud. Like, they have 2 or 3 matches on SmackDown. You know, Banks wins 1, Morgan wins 1. And then the payoff for that feud that I would have at the Rumble, have Morgan go in at 1, Banks go in at like 27. Morgan makes it all the way to the end, down to the final 3. You have Morgan, Asuka, and Banks, and they eliminate Asuka. It comes down to Morgan and Banks. Obviously, winner goes to WrestleMania. And Morgan eliminates Banks, ending that feud. You have that Daniel Bryan story of the underdog. And Morgan goes on to WrestleMania. She wins the Royal Rumble, goes on to WrestleMania, faces whoever the champion will be at that point. I have no clue, because the SmackDown Women's division is ripped to pieces. She wins the title there, crowd goes wild, and the first thing she does when she gets back is a feud with Bayley. Because, to be honest, if Bayley hadn't been injured, this would be the match I would do instead. Bayley versus Morgan. We need Bliss versus Cross. We talked about this the other day. Superhero destroys the villain. Instead, I would have the villain destroy the superhero. Really do not like Nikki Cross. But I would give the win to Liv Morgan. Storm, hell of a fight, moves into a feud with someone else. Next up, for the Intercontinental Championship, Apollo Crews versus Cesaro. Now, this is another thrown together match, but I feel like Apollo Crews' Intercontinental title reign has been a little bit underwhelming. I really like this Nigerian character, but I think it's time for him to lose the championship. I would have him lose it to Cesaro, and I would have Commander Aziz try and interfere, and Cesaro takes him out, then beats Apollo for the championship, takes it into a feud with Balor, and they just have great matches. You know, Cesaro can feud with guys like Kevin Owens, you know, gives his rematch to Apollo Crews, Balor, and just have these endlessly great matches that people will want to see. You know, Seth, maybe, Edge, all these different people, you know, Nakamura, and just have, you know, these great matches that people want to see. Some say he forces the accent so much. I actually don't think it sounds that faked, but obviously it is fake, but I don't think it sounds that faked. If I didn't know he was American, I'd actually believe that he was Nigerian. I would pay to see Apollo versus Finn. Yeah, I wouldn't mind to see that. But I would give Cesaro the championship, because I do think he deserves the championship. And I think he'd be a great Intercontinental champion. Have him hold on to it for like 8-9 months at that point. And have it when he finally loses, have it be to someone that makes them a star as well. Just have this title reign make Cesaro a star, to where he can be another credible opponent for Reigns. Because he was already, but just make it so he's even more credible, so that he can eventually win one of the championships, whether that be WWE or Intercontinental again, or Universal. So Cesaro for the win here. Have Apollo get his rematch, then go into a feud with who knows. There's not enough people on SmackDown, or like there's just not enough names. And I'm not really sure who to put in a feud with who, because obviously there's going to be a draft after SummerSlam, so you don't know who's going to be on what show. Who knows? Cesaro wins the title, Apollo loses the rematch, then Cesaro can move on to Balor, Zayn, Owens, all those different people. Actually, one person I'd have him feud with, Sheamus. Have Sheamus move to SmackDown after after SummerSlam during the draft, and have Cesaro and Sheamus feud going into WrestleMania, and then at WrestleMania you get Cesaro versus Sheamus, and just have them wreck each other. It would be brilliant. But up next, in a triple threat match for the Raw Women's Championship, I would have Charlotte Flair versus Rhea Ripley versus Becky Lynch. Now, you would be conspicuous of her absence. No Nikki, almost a superhero. And that's because if you've seen my one of my videos on Monday, the first episode of How I Would Book, it would be how I would book Nikki almost a superhero's title reign. And that was that on the first, on Monday on Raw, she faces Charlotte in a rematch, and Charlotte just beats her for the championship. And the reason I would do this is because I don't think Nikki Cross should be a champion as a superhero. It's really, really stupid, and I absolutely despise it. But they've gone with it, and I don't think this is going to happen. I think it's going to be Becky versus Nikki, or Charlotte versus Nikki, where Charlotte gets it back. I think Nikki's going to be the champion heading into SummerSlam, but I don't think she should. She should have got nowhere near it. Since Becky dropped the red belt, I feel she will return to SmackDown for the blue belt, something new. Yeah, she could do. I just don't. I just don't care about the Women's Championship at this point, and this is exactly why people wanted Becky, because they've made Ripley so boring, and they've made Rhea act like a genuine prick, and she's meant to be a face apparently. But Nikki Cross as champion, everyone was expecting Becky, and what do? Nikki Cross. I hated it. So I would have, in this match, I'd have Becky win, and then you have Becky and Rhea move into a feud. I'd give Charlotte a rematch. We can see Becky versus Charlotte. It's a match we've never seen before. But I would have Becky versus Rhea be the feud going into the Rumble. Becky to win. Right, now we're getting into our 3 big main event matches. Up first, we have Seth Rollins versus Edge. This is a guaranteed, isn't it? I cannot wait for this match. Seth Rollins versus Edge. The storytelling. 7 years ago, Rollins nearly killed Edge. And now Edge is back, coming for his revenge. Obviously, Rollins cost him the Universal Championship. And it does seem like that's the way they're going. I would have Rollins and Edge be at SummerSlam just a normal singles match. Rollins cheats to win. At the September pay-per-view, I would have them do it again in like a no-holds-barred or a no disqualification. Edge gets to win. But they continue to fight to the point where it actually endangers other people. So I would set it up at the October pay-per-view, whatever that is. And I know this will not happen, but I can dream, and this is fantasy booking. At the October pay-per-view, Seth Rollins versus Edge, 3 stages of hell. First stage, regular match. Second stage, Falls Count Anywhere. First stage, Falls Count Anywhere. Second, Last Man Standing. Third, Hell in a Cell. And I would have Edge win the Falls Count Anywhere. I would then have Rollins win the Last Man Standing, and then I'd have Edge win the Hell in a Cell, because I don't think Seth can be the guy that wins out of this feud. He's nearly killed Edge before. I feel like Edge should get this back, and Edge does need a win. I kind of want to see Seth and Becky versus Edge and Beth Phoenix. One thing I would do as well, have Seth grow so much like a demon that he goes right after Beth Phoenix as well, to the point where Edge just becomes Beth Phoenix has to try and calm Edge down, because all Edge sees is red when it comes to Seth. Seth has, random matches on SmackDown and Edge just comes out and tries to ruin him. They brawl backstage. I'm a guy that loves a story throughout a show. So, like, for example, on SmackDown, like, here's how I would do it tonight. I know he won't, but Edge starts off SmackDown pissed at Rollins. Like, he wants to ruin Rollins. He wants to rip Rollins' hair off his head, shove it up his ass, so much so that Rollins would have to take a hairbrush, shove it down his throat to brush it. And I would have Rollins come out, they set up the match at SummerSlam, they just start brawling, goes to an ad break. They come back, they're still fighting in the backstage area, and every 15 minutes or so, they just keep cutting back to the point where they're fighting. And it ends with Rollins able to get out at the end of the show and drive off, having ruined Edge. Like, he's, maybe he, concertos him and then goes off. Beth versus Seth would be lit. I mean, she's faced dudes before. Yeah, I don't think they do that, though. I don't think they do an intergender match. And I don't want to see intergender wrestling. To be fair, I think Seth's right with his comments. I don't think intergender wrestling really, I don't think it's necessary. So, I'd have Seth win this match. Edge wins the second match. Then the 3 stages of hell, Edge wins 2-1. And just have this be, have Vince or have Triple H come out and give us that guttural 3 stages of hell where it gets to the point where they just want to kill each other. And they have to have, they have it on an episode of SmackDown that they both, get so much into a brawl that they can have pull apart brawls, have the police get involved in it, have Becky come out after SummerSlam with a title and go, look, Edge, I respect everything you've done, but you need to calm down. This guy's my husband, this guy's the father of my kids. You need to calm down for the safety of everyone else. And Edge spears Lynch, Lynch turns heel, then you do get, on a SmackDown episode, Beth Phoenix comes out, and at the September pay-per-view, you get Becky Lynch versus Beth Phoenix for the Raw Women's Championship, and you get Edge versus Seth Rollins in a no-holds-barred match for the championship, and on the SmackDown before, you would have that mixed tag match. And just have Edge and Rollins just go to the deep depths of hell to try and ruin each other, and have Edge overcome it, and start to tease a Rollins face turn. Because I do want to see Seth as a face again. I do think this has been one of the best runs of his career. But I would love to see Seth as a face again. The next match. Now, this is going to be a random match, but it is something I would like to see. Goldberg versus Bobby Lashley versus Keith Lee for the WWE Championship. Now, it seems like they're going with Goldberg versus Bobby Lashley. I don't mind that. Just don't forget about Keith. Keith Lee made a great return, and this triple threat I think it would be really good. Just have them do these incredible spots that you wouldn't expect them to do, and have, Goldberg and Keith Lee stare each other down. From reports I've heard that Goldberg only has, he signed a contract back in 2019 for 2 matches a year on his contract for 3 years. So he did his 2 matches in 2020, did obviously that show at the Super Shoot, did the shit show with The Fiend at the Super Showdown where he became Universal Champion, and then obviously he lost it to Braun. In 2020, he will have done, so in 2021, Rumble match with Drew, match at SummerSlam, and have the stare down. So we'd have 2 matches after this left. Have the stare down be Goldberg and Keith, they keep on getting into it. And then it sets up one of Goldberg's 2 matches at WrestleMania next year, Goldberg versus Keith Lee. I would love to see that. And you have Keith Lee go over, obviously, and the match goes about a minute. Keith Lee just wrecks him. Wouldn't be a heel turn, or maybe it could be. I'm down for Lashley versus Lee versus Lesnar. Yeah, I wouldn't mind that. And yeah, just Lashley escapes with his title. He pins Keith Lee. You can't have Goldberg be pinned 3 matches in a row. Obviously, he shouldn't be in these matches, but when he is, you have to keep that mystique on him. So he does not win. No way he wins, but he definitely takes the pin in this. and he comes back at the Rumble, and the Rumble is one of his matches, one of his 2 matches. So his last match of his career, WrestleMania 38, Goldberg versus Keith Lee. And, you know, instead of them going for 1 minute, they can have like a 10-minute match, and they just do these really impressive spots. Keith Lee beats him, and then Goldberg, you know, raises his hand. Goldberg retires after a legendary career. And, you know, we wheel him out for the occasional appearance on Raw when the ratings are down, where he spears Elias, or the jackhammers Jimmy Uso. But I have a feeling they're going to go for Goldberg Reigns at some point. I do think they want to do that. And I feel like if they can't get Brock back before... If they can't get Brock or Rock for WrestleMania 38, because I've heard that is the reported plan, Rock versus Reigns. If they can't get any of them, they'll either go for Seth or Goldberg. I think there's many different options of what you can do. Goldberg versus Reigns again. Yawns. I'm not against it, you know. I was actually quite excited for that match. And obviously, I was actually quite disappointed when it got taken off. But I think it'd be way more interesting now with this Tribal Chief character. But yes, Lashley wins. Lashley... I'm trying to think of... You know, Goldberg goes for a jackhammer on Keith Lee. Keith Lee gets out of it, throws him up, Spirit Bomb, Lashley spear, pins. Like, you have anything with Bill is a snooze fest, in my opinion. So you have Keith Lee get out of the Spirit Bomb. You have Keith get out of the jackhammer, Spirit Bomb to Goldberg. He turns around, and before you can even recognise that Lashley's coming, he turns around, and the camera work is right on Lee. So he turns around, and the first thing you see is Lashley spearing him. You do not see the run-up. You just see Lashley dive right into him. And that's the end of the match. He pins Goldberg. And it just be that sudden impact that helps Lashley escape with the championship. But now, moving in, he has already worn out just by doing his entrance. Now, moving into the main event. I wonder what this could be. It is Roman Reigns versus John Cena for the Universal Championship, but there's a catch to it. It's Reigns' title versus Cena's career. I think the story writes itself that Cena wants to break that record of Ric Flair of the 16 World Championships. And I've been going back and forth in my mind of what I would do for this. And what I would do... Some of you are going to see this coming. Cena wins via a heel turn. You double turn this. So where Reigns turns face, Cena turns heel to win the 17th championship. And Cena does not defend the championship until the Rumble, where he where he beats like Edge or someone, or Rollins. Then Reigns wins the Rumble and faces him at WrestleMania. Obviously, I'm kidding. Reigns is gonna win. There is no way Cena is winning this. Might piss off fans if Cena wins when he just comes back. I'm kidding. Reigns wins. It lasts about 25 minutes. Just make it feel like a proper main event. Don't get the Usos or anyone involved. Just have Heyman there, and just have them go at it for 25 minutes. Have Reigns eventually win. So Cena, yes, would retire. I honestly don't know who would dethrone Roman. Yeah, that's the thing. It's like one guy who I wouldn't mind dethroning Reigns, but I don't see it happening, is Jeff Hardy. Really would like to see a Jeff Hardy versus Roman Reigns match. To be fair, Cesaro deserves it. Yeah, I do want to see Jeff Hardy versus Roman Reigns. I think that could be a brilliant match for, say, like a Backlash, where you need an opponent for Hardy. You need an opponent for Reigns, and Jeff Hardy needs to do something. So you just whack them in a feud. Maybe Jeff takes the title. I don't think Reigns should lose the title unless it's at WrestleMania or SummerSlam. He wins it here. there would be maybe some temptation to have Cena win so that he can, you know, break that record. And it's bold of me to have Cena retire on 16 championships. But, like, who else is Cena going to put over? Who else can Cena, you know, what else can he use his magic on? Like, who would he have retire him? Who can retire Cena? Who is a more perfect option than Roman Reigns? I think Reigns is a perfect guy to end his career and make him even more hated, where he ends the career of, you know, most people's childhoods. You know, people have grown up with Cena. People have hated Cena. People have loved Cena. And have Reigns be that cocky prick that ends his career by winning, by retaining his championship, continuing the dominant run, and Cena loses. He goes into the Hall of Fame, WrestleMania 38. Maybe in 39, but to be fair, at 39, I'd put Rock and Batista in. And you can't do one Hall of Fame with Rock, Batista, and Cena. So, how I would go for the Hall of Fame is 38, Taker. I think Taker will headline it. And you only have two names go in the 2022 Hall of Fame, and that's Taker and Cena. And you get, like, an hour and a half to celebrate Cena's whole career, and you get an hour and a half to celebrate Taker's whole career. And during those two speeches, you have many different people that have been rivals of Cena and Taker come out and just talk about their legacies and their careers, because in my opinion, Cena and Taker are the two best of all time. That's just my opinion. I think Cena is the most recognisable wrestler ever, and I think Taker has the best career ever. So in my honest opinion, I think Cena and Taker are the two greatest of all time. And I honestly think Cena should, you know, just shock us and have Reigns end his career. But that's how I would book SummerSlam 2021. What did you think? Tell me how you all hated it in the comments below. Let me know what you think I should book in the future. Michelle McCourt and the kids were in the... I did see that, yeah. Let me know what you think I should book in the future. Thanks for everyone for watching, and I do please urge you to come and watch later on tonight. If you want to talk to me during SmackDown tonight, please do come. I honestly, please do urge you, come into the Wrestling Network chat. It is the final time that my good friend Mike will be live on the Wrestling Network channel tonight. He's not, you know, ending YouTube. He's starting his own channel. He's starting another channel called Fandemic. So please do go and subscribe to that. But please do come and chat to us tonight on the Wrestling Network channel. Yeah. You know, so thank you, Wrestling Network, for, you know, all the memories that channel's had. Cannot wait for Fandemic to start. But thank you to everyone who's watched this channel. I'm not going anywhere, obviously. Thank you to everyone who's watched this video, and I will see you soon. Goodbye.